What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down why the market's looking very interesting right now. We're very flat in the pre-market, but there is upside potential looking at the setups. But there's a lot of catalysts coming out in the morning. We basically have a lot of data coming out. We have President Trump giving a speech in the morning and Jerome Powell giving a speech in the afternoon. And all of this could cause more volatility, so be ready. So I'll break down exactly what's going to likely happen and what the charts suggest thus far. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or use my QR code right over here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia plus a $100 cash reward. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of Nvidia plus $100, or deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia plus $100 for the cash reward. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends very soon, so please use my links down below to sign up. Once again, the offer ends in just a couple of days. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the market. So, as far as SPY is going, as you guys could tell, we're trying to consolidate in the pre-market, but there is potential for us to try to break once again to new all-time highs if we continue to hold up as well as we are. I think we're doing a good job at least thus far, but the question is, will we break out more, or do we get some kind of big rejection like this? For now, the upside does look more probable, but that also depends on some factors. So we have three catalysts coming out in the morning, and we have one in the afternoon. What are the catalysts? First and foremost, today is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. At 9:45 a.m., we have the S&P Global Composites Manufacturing and Services PMI reports. Expect some volatility 15 minutes after the stock market opens. That's going to be very important for how we end up moving. Then at 10 o'clock a.m., we essentially have the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index, shipments and revenues, the services revenues data also coming out. So for the first 15 and 30 minutes after market open, there's going to be a lot of data coming out. Expect some volatility then. There's a good chance we might be making a big move when all this data comes out. So those are going to be two catalysts at 9:45 a.m. and 10 a.m. And then President Trump he's also going to be giving a speech to address the United Nations General Assembly in New York City at 9:50 a.m. on Tuesday. So it turns out today, President Trump is giving a speech. It's going to start about 20 minutes after the market opens. He's going to be addressing the United Nations General Assembly. He's also going to be speaking about, a lot of geopolitical situations from Russia to Ukraine to Israel, and the list goes on. So when President Trump speaks, he sometimes causes volatility. Will we see a big move? Get ready, guys. There's going to likely be a lot of volatility. So we'll see what President Trump says, what this causes. That's going to be another factor affecting things. So we'll see about that. Is this going to cause the market to break out higher? Do we turn back down? I do want to warn you guys to be cautious for the first half hour of market open. We have a lot of data coming out, and President Trump giving a speech at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 20 minutes after the market ends up opening. So all of this might cause some volatility. And then at 12:35 p.m., so in the afternoon, we also have the big guy Jerome Powell giving a speech. I'll give you guys another reminder about this. Jerome Powell is going to be addressing a lot of claims that were made by different Fed officials. We have Bostic, for example, from the Fed, who is saying that he does not necessarily see cuts coming this year if we continue to see high inflation. But Jerome Powell has been saying the opposite. He does think that inflation is going to continue to fall like a rock, and then we're going to see more cuts potentially this year. The risk is only to higher unemployment, but the Fed has to be very persistent. So we'll see what Jerome Powell says. Nvidia is also going to be investing as much as $100 billion into OpenAI. And also, we're going to be watching the Fed watch tool. Will the numbers get adjusted depending on what Jerome Powell says? Keep in mind that his speech could cause volatility, and it could be affecting the Fed watch tool, which is addressing the odds of us getting a cut, or to some extent, whether it's like, more cuts or less cuts or etc. So that's why it's very important to pay attention to Jerome Powell, what he says, and what is going to end up coming out. With that being said, there's going to be some volatility for market open. We're going to see how it goes. So from what I'm seeing, okay, if we get decent data, if President Trump launches us, we could be looking for 667.5. If we break that, I would not rule out the possibility of 668 and 670. Let me actually use the 30 minutes time frame to draw this out. So in the pre-market, SPY is very choppy right now. It's waiting for the data in President Trump's speech. Let's go over the bullish and bearish cases, and I'll talk about what's more likely. If you see 665 break, you're going to be bearish looking for 662. If you see 667.5 break, you're going to be looking for 668 to 670. My gut tells me that when we open, we might try to go a little bit higher. I do lean a bit more in favor of this, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not super confident. Depends on the data and such. And even if we do go a bit higher, we're going to see if we end up turning back down later on with Jerome Powell's speech. So it might just be a temporary move. The chart is favoring an accumulation and attempt to go higher for now, but we'll see just to be safe depending on our data and what kind of reaction we get. If 666 fails, look for 665, then 662. But if 667.5 breaks for bullish, could go either way as we're in a range, but the chart does favor upside as a bit more of a likely possibility based off this setup. Now, looking at the QQQ, if we're bearish, you want to see us essentially fail at 600. If 600 fails, we're going to be looking for 658. If we're bullish, you want to break 604. If that breaks, we're going to be going even higher, so watch that very closely. For the IWM, we also have a nice looking reaction right here. If we lose 244, we're going to be dipping to about 242. But as long as we're above 245, we're going to be looking for an attempt to push for, once again, higher levels. For now, we're making higher lows, as you could tell. So we're favoring an attempt to go back up to 246. So upside looks a bit more prominent. On ES, you want to see us lose 67.20 to be bearish. As long as we're above this, we're going to be favoring 67.60 plus for more upside. NQ is looking a bit more bullish. As long as we don't lose 24,962, we're going to be favoring an attempt to push for 25,060 plus to really break out. Bitcoin's looking a bit more bullish. Nice accumulation right here. Could be looking for 113,500, and I think we're doing a fantastic job. Tesla's looking good. We're making higher lows here. We need to see 440 break. If it does, we're looking for the highs of yesterday to be retested. But if we don't break 440, we're going to retest 435 or below. So we need to hold above this to push for 445. For now, there's upside potential. Nvidia is showing some weakness. It might be dipping to 180, and we'll see if we bounce. So watch and see what happens around 180. Might dip a little bit, and we'll see if we bounce. Even Appl might, it has to hold 255, if not 252 could be tested, and then we'll see if we bounce. Appl and Nvidia look like they could dip a tiny bit, then try to bounce. So hopefully we get a bounce. Palantir is looking bullish to me, could be favoring 184 for a small bounce. AMD is looking like it wants to retest 162. Coinbase has an inverse head and shoulders like pattern. As long as we don't lose 330, we could try to bounce. We might like reaccumulate here, then bounce for 335. Amazon has a nice, kind of cup and handle like structure. As long as you don't lose 227, we're going to be favoring a push for 229. Meta has a nice looking inverse head and shoulders, could be looking for a bounce back up to about 769, then eventually the 770s. Google has a nice accumulation, could be looking for essentially 255. And then Microsoft is forming an accumulation favoring 517. The VIX is kind of like flat right now. We're going to see if it rejects or not to fill this gap. Could go either way. So for now, SPY and the QQQ are still favoring upside in terms of their setups and technicals, but it also depends on all this data that's coming out. So be cautious and be careful with all this manufacturing data and services data at 9:45 and 10 a.m. and also President Trump's speech at 9:50 a.m. We'll see if this causes any volatility. So for now, watch your levels just to be safe. We don't always know exactly which way the market will go. We have to watch your levels and be very, very cautious. But just know that for now, I am once again going to play the charts in front of us. And the charts do favor an accumulation in the pre-market and another attempt to potentially bounce that could be coming. That is likely what is going to happen, but we'll see just to be safe. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Please have an awesome rest of your guys' days. I'm going to try to upload this video as fast as I can. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Get ready for some data that's coming out and Mr. President Trump's speech. And we'll see what all of this leads to. Have a good one. Get ready and peace out.